Hello everyone, my name's Tiffany. I'm the Tipsy Artist. Today we're painting this super adorable snowman. So this is the version that we do in our live classes here in studio. He's so cute, very easy and fun. So when you come join us at our classes here in Guthrie, Oklahoma, which we encourage you to do, we have classes every Saturday, and people come from all over the world to see us in our legendary historic building here. But this is what you'll do. We've got templates for that. But if you can't come see me in person, then we also have these super cute painting kits for y'all. And we have traceables for them. And they're really great for gifting or just doing it at home as a nice little treat just for yourself. So without further ado, let me go ahead and put this back up behind me. That gives you that big version of it. And then we're going to switch camera views now and take it down to this lower level. And that way you'll have a wonderful view. So here we go. And make sure I hit the right button. Ah, there we are. Okay. So we've got all of our supplies all laid out here for you. And again, with your kit, everything comes in your kit all ready to go. So we've got all your paint, brushes, all of your supplies. Basically, you're just going to open it up, and the only thing you're going to have to get will be water. So water nearby, and that's it. So we have this already traced. So let me give you a little visual about this too. I have a separate video that is just for this. So it'll teach you how to do this, but this is the transfer paper that comes with your kit. Here's the line art. Pencil comes so you can just trace right over the top. So that'll basically transfer right here to your canvas. We've also got a permanent marker here. So I think this is very helpful for beginners. Basically, it allows you to be a little bit more free and dare we say sloppy. As beginners, we're like, yay, I can, it's okay. Little, I don't even like to use the word mess up because I have a little saying that's called, there are no mistakes, only possibilities. So for whatever possibilities that may occur, but this allows you to be a little bit more free with your paint, and all of this will bleed through the paint. So once you've got your pencil line down, then that gives you a little more confidence. Then we can do a hard line over it. So again, a lot of beginners really appreciate this step. There's those little eyes. And also when the paint dries at the end and you want to come back in and maybe reinforce the eyes, it's also a lot easier to do that with the permanent marker too. So, but we'll get to that. That's jumping ahead a little bit. So I pray y'all are having a super peaceful day today. We are back here in the garden room, the sunroom here. We have a building in Guthrie, Oklahoma that was built in 1902. And I love spending time back here in my studio near the sunroom in the garden. My honey bear is going to put in a bird feeder for me really soon, and then I'm going to try to start doing some classes with the little birds nearby. I'm super excited about that too. All right, now we have our little tree in the background. See, I added a tree to this in the painting. You can see it wasn't actually here. Well, it was just very obscured by all the snow. So I'm going to make that a little bit more pronounced in this version of the painting. Okay, so we'll put that off to the side. So we have the super cute line art now. And the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start to just push in a lot of snow to begin with. So you will have a nice big paint kit. Now mine's gently used, you can see, but you'll have a nice big paint kit here. I've got some paint already out to begin with. I've got some titanium white and Mars black already out. Here's our cute little family of brushes. We've got Mama, and then we have Little Buddy, and then we have Little Bit. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with the Mama brush. And I'm going to add just a tiny amount of water here. Let's press back and forth, make our brush a little bit more flexible. We're going to go ahead and start to pick up some of that white. And then just barely touch into the black. Barely, barely. So super tiny amount. We're going to start to work that into the paint. We're going to create a very light gray. And you know what? I also, there's just a hint of blue here in the background. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of this primary cyan blue. I want to make sure and have just a tiny amount. So I did a pea size amount of that. Let's move our palette over here to where you can see it a little bit more. All right, so every once in a while I want to be able to touch into that blue and just have a little hint of that. That's going to take it to more of a slate color. All right, now we're going to go ahead and just kind of crisscross our stroke back and forth. We're going to place this in the background. And I'm going to alternate between a lot of white and that light gray we mixed up. And then also this little touch of that slate blue, which is that little hint of primary cyan blue that is also lightly mixed with our really light gray. So now I'm going to start to feather out these strokes a little bit more. So I'm going to turn the brush a little bit more over to the side, a little bit more parallel to the canvas there. I'm going to crisscross those strokes. Kind of feels like you make the letter X over and over again. And remember to hold that brush gently out to the side. All right, now, as I mentioned before, when you have a permanent line here with that permanent marker done, it allows you to be more free and not have to be so meticulous about cut-in work. Now, if you only have a pencil line at this point, then you will have to be a little bit more meticulous and hold the brush more like a pencil. Do a cut-in line around those shapes. Okay, like that. But we've got a hard line here, so I can be a little bit more relaxed with it. And if I happen to have a slight amount of overlap, see and how handy it comes in with the little stick hands, they're still showing through. And if you feel like you accidentally cover that up a little bit to where you lose your work that you placed in, you can add a little tiny amount of the water. That'll help make that paint a bit more translucent. Also, a little bit of firm pressure back and forth will help reveal that hard line art that we just did there. See how I'm kind of dusting in a little bit more of the blue, making it a bit more pronounced there. So that was just some of that pure blue that I just placed right into the background. We're still doing our sky. And I'm going to push in a few more of these little crisscross strokes of the primary cyan blue. The paint's still wet underneath, so we're still getting a nice soft transition between those two, and just kind of push those back and forth. Let's kind of feather this out a little bit. All right, that is beautiful. Okay, so we're gonna shift a little bit and concentrate more on the snow part. So I'm rinsing out my mama brush. Let's talk about this a little bit. So we are working with acrylic paint. It does set up and dry pretty quickly. So you always want to rinse out your brushes quickly. And if you don't have a chance to get to them, never let them just sit out on a napkin with the paint resting on the brush, or it can harden up and dry very, very quickly. Then dry that off. All right, now we're going to go ahead and switch over to our little bit brush. This is your little baby. All right, now we're going to go ahead and dip into some more of that black, some more of that white. We're going to make a darker charcoal gray now. Do a little twirl with the brush so that still continues to load it up, but it twirls the end of the brush into a nice fine point. And that makes this easier to paint with. I'm going to start to do a nice hard outline around our lines that contain the snow area. So this would be the snowy ground, and it's also going to work around our snowman here, that shape. I just picked up a little bit of water. I added that to the gray so that that gray becomes a bit more fluid, easier to move. And then we will do a soft blend into this here momentarily. It's going to soften that gray up. Right now it looks a little stark and dark. It's okay. We're going to soften it up here in just a second. So nice ground. Nice snowy ground. Wonderful. Okay, let's go ahead and rinse out. I'll take a few of my napkins, place those up here as well. Okay, now let's take little buddy, the little flat top there. We're going to grab some more white and start to work into that. See how we're going to do a little bit of an overpaint. Now we're going over that dark charcoal gray with the pure white. Doing a soft blend between those two, but still letting a little bit of that hard line still continue to outline the shape. And you can really obscure that quite a bit more if you would like. So you can bring that white overpaint right next to the edge, or you can leave a thicker gray line around the edge to make it still a little bit more cartoonish and stylized that way, which is also really fun. It's a fun look too. So it just kind of depends on your taste. And we'll continue to just work in more white right over the top. And then we'll feather this back and forth too. Something up in here. I forgot to do his face. That's okay. We'll pick that up here in a minute. Let's back into the ground level. And we're going to do light overpaint over this fence with just the white. And isn't that wonderful how it just bleeds through? That's so nice. I'm going to come in the water for just a second. I'm going to go back in if this is a little bit fresh. Softly work back in a little bit more of that dark charcoal color. All right, really pretty. Let's go ahead and work into the face a little bit now. I'm going to gather a little bit more of this darker charcoal color and around the edge of the face. So as I'm working into a little bit of an overpaint over the top of that dark charcoal gray, you can see I'm picking it up. And I don't want my face to get too dark, so I'm doing that little quick wipe off on the plate to remove that excess dark charcoal color. And then I'll just continue picking up a little bit more white, keeping it really light and bright over the surface area. And the work that we did is still showing through. You can see that. So trust the process. It's still there for you. Okay. All right, so let's see, next step will be, decisions. I think I'm going to go ahead and work into some of the fence line here. All right, so we need to mix up a little bit of brown. So I'm going to use some cadmium orange. And when we mix equal parts cadmium orange and black, then we get brown. I'm also going to add some primary yellow to this. A pea size amount there. It'll make some creamier tones. And then let's add some more white. So it'll be fun to mix back and forth between the brown and these creamy tones here. And I'm going to go into more brown. Full into it. So I'm having to really work and turn my hand more over to the side so that it doesn't drag into the paint and lift it off. But I've got a really nice fence line now. It's looking really great. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse out now. Wow. Oh, that scared me to death. Oh, it's my daughter texting me. That it came through my computer and it gave me a fright. Ah! That's the shared sound. Oh my gosh, my heart. Okay. Hopefully you were not as scared as I was. All right, so I'm gonna soften up this line. We've got some of the snow that should be coming into the foreground a little bit more here. So I'll go back into this charcoal. Right over the front. Okay, and then more white. Hopefully that wasn't as loud for you as it was for me. I've got headphones on, and so some of the sounds that I hear are quite a bit more exaggerated. Okay, looking good. All right, now let's do some red. And keep in mind, you can be certainly very playful with some of these colors. If you want to do a different color for the scarf, you can do your, favorite color. Like, for example, if I was doing this for my children, their favorite color is yellow, so I might even do a yellow scarf for them. But it is a Christmassy painting, so I'm going to go ahead and stick with the model and do what I have in the model. So I'm going to use some of this beautiful cadmium red. And you know what? I'm going to cool it off just a little bit with some primary magenta. That was a bit much. You don't really need that much. Just teeny tiny pea size amount is really all you need. Right, I'm going to mix these two, and so that will make more of a cool red because the cadmium red is very warm. And then when I add the primary magenta to it, it cools it off quite a bit. Beautiful. Now I'm going to do a little section up here on the hat, the little hat band. All right. Looking great. Okay. Now keep in mind, this is my original was watercolor. So everything's going to be a little bit more vibrant here, but I do keep this here for you as a visual guide. I think it's comforting to people to see the end goal or something remotely similar. Okay, so let's go and rinse off, dry off. Now let's do that cute little carrot nose. We still have a little bit of cadmium orange out on our plate here. So we can just use a little bit of that. I also have a little bit of primary yellow nearby, so I'm going to dip into that as well. Mix those two. Do a little twirl to get that brush out to a nice fine point. And let's go and work into that shape. A little bit of a parentheses here. That's that feels to your hand, and then a tiny little straight line out to a point. So cute. Okay, rinse out. And then let's do some black. I could go to the tree next, but kind of want to go ahead and get him finished out here. All right, so we're going to work in this little hat. This is just Mars black paint. And When you initially put it on, especially with a small brush, you're going to see lots of little tiny lines. So you can kind of come back over the top and sort of feather it out a little bit. And if you want to maintain some of this, naturally occurs a lot with the watercolor, but if you want to kind of simulate that same look, you could grab a little bit more of this white and kind of push in a little bit of that. It's really subtle, but see how you can do it, just like a little touch of that. That's kind of fun. All right, now there's a little bit of a hat band here that I want to make a little bit more pronounced and accentuate. So we'll come back in with a little bit more of that charcoal gray to highlight the difference. So I'm going to do a little twirl, pick up a little bit more of that charcoal there, twirl that out. So I grabbed a little bit of white. I'm just going to cover that in over the top there. Yeah, very nice. All right, now let's go ahead and go back into our brown, which is our orange, and our black. Twirl it out a little bit, get a nice fine point on that brush. And then we're going to have our little stick come in just a little bit in front. And I still have some snow to work in here and fade. So there's some little details here. All right, let's do a little bit more of this charcoal right there. Let's rinse out. Let's grab some more white. So this is the snow in the background just behind the snowman. And then I'm going to grab more charcoal. Let's go just kind of redefine that there. Softly blend that back out. All right, really pretty. Rinse and dry off. All right, now I want to make sure that my little bit brush is very clean and dry, or at least there's no excess water in there. So it can be damp, but that's fine. Now I'm going to make sure nice fine point. We're going to go right into that black. And then we're going to go ahead and work on the eye. I'm going to stabilize my hand here by using my pinky to help rest. And keep in mind too, you can let when this becomes completely dry, you can also use your permanent marker to work on these little details. So that is a cheat that is definitely allowed if you're a little concerned about the steadiness of your hand. Just like making a little parentheses on one side, And another little parentheses on the other side. There's our cute little eye. And now little tiny dashes for the smile. Oh, so cute. All right, now let's go ahead and work in our little tree over here. All right, so rinse out. And let's gather some cadmium green. And you know, it's a little fun to have a little Viridian in there. And then we can also use our black and our white too. I'm going to start with just that cadmium green and the black and the white, which kind of makes more of that pine green. And we're going to start that top, and we're just kind of going to pull down side to side. A slight diagonal, and then just off to the side. All right, now I'm going to show you what a little bit of that Viridian looks like over the top, just a little bit more dramatic. Yeah, very pretty. So I've got my brush clean now and a little bit more tapered. And I'm just kind of pulling down for little delicate strokes here on the sides and the edges. All right. Lovely. Okay, now we're going to do a fun little string light technique here. So we're going to use the end of the brush. So the brush handle now, a little bit, and we're going to dip into some white. So we'll just touch right down into it. See how it's right there on the end of the brush. And dip into the paint and then dip straight down. And then we're just going to do a little zigzag with it. Now you can do a zigzag approach, or you could also just dot it out randomly for just ornaments. That's another option that's very fun. I've got some wet green that's a little bit thick right there, so I was struggling just a little bit with getting that purple, I'm sorry, not purple, perfect circle rather. So sometimes you have to wait for it to set up and dry a little bit. A little bit more firm pressure and spin. All right, so that's really fun. I'm going to go and wipe off the excess now. Okay. And now it's certainly awesome just the way it is at this point. You can leave it, but I'm going to show you some other techniques too to have a little bit more of that wonderful little snow happening in the background. So I'm going to take the mama brush now and some of that white. And then we're going to just dip it into the water. And normally I don't like a whole lot of water in the brush, but for this, I need a lot more water in the brush. And then I'm going to take my fingernail basically and run it along the edge of the bristles here. I sure hope that wasn't as loud for you as it was for me. That was so loud. Okay. And then that was my mom texting me. My family loves me. Okay, so we're gonna just keep. Wow, that was a big old. That's okay. Big snowflake. But it'd be nice to have a few more of those so that it didn't look so. Whoops. So if that's a bit big for your taste, which I get it, that might be a little bit like it's kind of bugging me. So I'm just going to lightly pick that up, kind of lock that just a tad, because I don't know, that snowflake was a bit big. There goes another one. So I don't mind it if, get another one up there. Yeah. So see, they're kind of fun if there's more than one. Which is just kind of a little drop of water. I'm going to continue kind of sprinkling the snow all around because it's snowing everywhere. This is really fun to do. You just want to make sure you're in a position and a place to not, think about your surroundings and what you're snowing on. Be mindful of that. I've got paint on everything in my studio, so I really don't care, but you might care about some of your surroundings. So make sure and like tarp down for this next part or go outside or something like that. But it's very, very fun. All right, so we have a lovely amount of snow cover everywhere. It looks fantastic in the background. So I feel like we are done for the most part. Let's see, let's take a look around. Oh, you know what? There's a few other little techniques I almost forgot. So if you want it to look like there's a little bit of snowfall on the little stick hands or the fence post, we can certainly work in a little bit of that too. So for the tree, here is a little bit. We're going to gather a little bit of white on the end of the brush. You can do just a side hold and just kind of barely lay the paint on the tree there. A slight little light drag. The top with a light hand. And then here, you can have just a little bit of snow kind of just gently resting on the top of the little fence post here. barely add a little bit. And then same thing here. Just a little light drag of a line right over the top. And then a little bit on top of the hat. Okay. So now I think we are totally done. Except for signing our masterpiece, which I need to wait on a little bit for this to all dry. All right, but I just want to thank you again so very, very much for painting with us today. All the supplies are going to be on our website, tipsyartist.com. Y'all have a beautiful rest of the day, and we'll see you soon. Love y'all. Toodles.